It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code POD at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code POD at BlueNile.com.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Halloween podcast. I am your host, Lyle Perez. Today is October 15th, 2024, and this is episode 34 of our Haunted America series. We're taking a ghostly trip to the Great Plains into the heart of North Dakota. It may be known for its vast, rolling prairies and rugged wilderness, but North Dakota is also home to some truly chilling ghost stories. From haunted hotels to eerie ghost towns, the state has its fair share of paranormal activity. Like always, we're going to explore 10 different haunted locations in this beautiful state. So get comfortable and let's dive into the haunted history of North Dakota. We begin our haunted tour at Fort Abraham Lincoln, located just south of Mandan. This historic site played a significant role during the Indian Wars in the late 1800s and was the last command of the infamous General George Custer before his fateful encounter at the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. With such a wild past, it's no surprise that Fort Abraham Lincoln is believed to be haunted by soldiers who never left. Visitors to the fort often report seeing shadowy figures in old military uniforms, especially near the Custer House, which has been meticulously reconstructed to its former glory. The eerie sound of footsteps is frequently heard in the empty barracks, and some guests have felt a cold presence passing by as they walk through the grounds. One particularly unsettling sighting is that of a soldier standing at attention near the fort's guardhouse, vanishing moments before being seen. The Custer House itself is said to be haunted by Libby Custer, George Custer's wife, who was known for her dedication to her husband's legacy. Libby's apparition has been seen near the fort windows, gazing out into the distance as though waiting for her husband to return home from battle. Today, Fort Abraham Lincoln is open to the public for tours, giving visitors a glimpse into North Dakota's military past and its lingering spirits. Our next stop takes us to the North Dakota State Capitol in Bismarck, a grand building completed in 1934 and home to the state's government. While the Capitol's Art Deco design and towering presence are impressive, it's also known for its paranormal activity. One of the most famous hauntings in the Capitol involves a ghostly janitor who is said to roam the building's upper floors late at night. Workers and security guards have reported seeing a man dressed in old-fashioned work clothing, cleaning floors or emptying trash cans, only to vanish moments later. There have also been reports of strange noises coming from the elevator shafts, including the sound of chains rattling and footsteps when no one is around. Another eerie tale involves strange shadows seen in the Capitol's observation deck, where visitors sometimes feel a cold presence or the sensation of being watched. Some say these spirits are former lawmakers, still lingering in the halls where they once debated and made laws. The North Dakota state capitol remains fully functional and offers tours. But for those who visit after dark, the spirits of the building's past might make themselves known. Fargo's Children's Museum at Yunker Farm may seem like an unlikely place for hauntings, but the museum, housed in a historic farmhouse dating back to 1876, has long been rumored to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. The Yunker family, who once owned the farm, suffered several personal tragedies, and some believe the spirits of the family never truly left. Staff and visitors have reported hearing the sound of children laughing and running through the halls, even when the museum is closed. Some believe these playful spirits belong to the Yunker children, who passed away under mysterious circumstances. The museum's upstairs attic is said to be particularly active, with reports of objects moving on their own and cold spots that seem to follow people around. One of the most chilling stories involves a ghostly figure of a woman believed to be Mrs. Yunker. She has been seen walking through the museum's exhibits late at night, her presence felt by those who work there. There's also the mysterious swinging doll, a toy that is said to move on its own, swinging back and forth as if someone invisible is playing with it. The Children's Museum at Yunker Farm is open to families and visitors during the day, but those familiar with its haunted history know there's more than just educational exhibits within its walls. Next, we journey to the small town of Walhalla, where a stretch of road known as White Lady Lane is said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman dressed in white. The legend dates back to the early 1900s, when a young woman was tragically killed in a car accident along those lonely roads. Since then, drivers passing through at night have reported seeing her standing by the side of the road, her pale figure illuminated by their headlights. The White Lady is often described as a beautiful young girl in a flowing white dress, her face sad and her eyes filled with sorrow. Some drivers have even claimed to have stopped to offer her a ride, only for her to disappear that moment they approached. Others say she appears in their rear view mirrors, sitting silently in the back seat before fading into thin air. The stretch of road where she is seen is now known as White Lady Lane, and locals warn against driving there late at night, especially when you're alone. While her identity remains a mystery, many believe the White Lady is still searching for peace, forever bound to the road where she lost her life. Our next stop takes us to the infamous Sandhaven Sanatorium in Dunscythe, a once thriving tuberculosis hospital that now stands in ruins, shrouded in mystery and ghostly legends. Opened in 1912, the sanatorium treated thousands of tuberculosis patients over the years, but it also saw untold suffering as many patients succumbed to the disease. Later, it was converted into a mental health facility, adding more layers to its dark history. One of the most persistent spirits said to haunt Sandhaven is that of a young girl who died while receiving treatment. Visitors and trespassers report hearing her giggling in the empty halls, followed by the soft patter of her footsteps. Some claim to have seen her small figure standing at the end of the dark corridors, only for her to vanish as they approached. There are also reports of shadowy figures moving through the abandoned buildings, with some brave visitors claiming to have heard the screams of former patients echoing through the decrepit walls. The atmosphere is thick with dread, and those who dare to explore the ruins often leave with a sense of unease, convinced that the spirits of Sandhaven are still very much alive. While the sanatorium is now closed and off limits to the public, it continues to draw those curious about its haunted reputation, and some who venture in don't leave the same.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Liberty Memorial Building in Bismarck is North Dakota's oldest government building, dating back to 1924. It originally housed the state's library and historical archives, but its purpose has changed over the years, and so has its reputation. Some say the building is haunted by the spirits of those who worked and possibly died there, unable to leave behind their attachment to the building's rich history. The most frequently encountered spirit is that of a former librarian, often seen walking through the building's hallways. Staff have reported hearing the sound of pages turning in the archives, only to find the room completely empty. Visitors also speak of cold drafts that seem to follow them, especially on the top floor, where bookshelves seem to creak as though someone is still searching through the collection. Another strange occurrence involves the library's elevator, which has been known to operate on its own, doors opening and closing at odd hours, even when no one is inside. The spirit is said to be friendly but persistent, and some believe it may be tied to the building's early days, when books were considered treasure, and protecting them was a lifelong mission. The Library Memorial Building remains in use today, and staff are well aware that this place has a haunted history. The Rough Riders Hotel, located in the heart of Medora, is known for its rustic charm and deep ties to North Dakota's history. Named after Theodore Roosevelt's famous regiment, the hotel has hosted many notable guests over the years, but some of them, it seems, have never checked out. Built in 1884, the hotel has become famous for its ghostly apparitions and unexplained occurrences. One of the most common sightings is that of an elderly man, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, who appears in the hotel's lobby and dining room. Guests have described him as looking perfectly real, only to vanish when they approach. Hotel staff have also reported hearing whispers and voices coming from empty rooms, and some guests claim to have felt the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of their bed in the middle of the night. In addition to the elderly man, there are also reports of phantom footsteps echoing in the hallways, especially on the upper floors. Paranormal investigators who have visited the hotel believe that the spirits lingering here may be tied to the many soldiers and cowboys who once passed through Medora, leaving their mark on the town and the hotel. The Rough Riders Hotel is still open for business, providing visitors with a unique mix of history, comfort, and possibly a few ghostly encounters. The small town of Harvey is home to the Harvey Public Library, a charming, quiet place by day, but a hot hub of paranormal activity by night. The library is said to be haunted by the spirit of Sophie Eberline, a local woman who was brutally murdered by her husband in 1931. Legend has it that Sophie's spirit found no peace and has chosen the library as her eternal home. Library staff and visitors have reported hearing strange knocking noises late at night, as well as the sound of books falling off the shelves with no explanation. Some have even claimed to see the ghostly figure of a woman standing near the library's entrance, her presence accompanied by an overwhelming sense of sorrow. On occasion, lights flicker on and off, and cold spots have been reported in otherwise warm rooms, leading many to believe Sophie's spirit is still wandering the halls. Locals say that Sophie's ghost is not malicious, but her sadness is intense, as if she is still searching for justice or closure. Despite its peaceful appearance, the Harvey Public Library holds a chilling secret for those who visit after dark. In Williston, the Old Armory is a historic building that once served as a training ground for soldiers during both World Wars. Today, it is used as a community center, but those who work there claim the building's past has left behind more than just memories. The Old Armory is believed to be haunted by the spirits of former soldiers, and eerie encounters have been reported by visitors and staff alike. One of the most unnerving occurrences involves disembodied voices heard during the quiet hours of the night. Some claim to have heard the sound of marching boots echoing through the building, as if a platoon is still drilling long after the day's events have ended. There are also reports of shadowy figures spotted near the armory stage, which was once used for military performances and ceremonies. Visitors to the Old Armory often feel a sense of unease in the basement, where cold drafts are common and strange noises can be heard. Paranormal investigators who have explored the building suggest that the spirits may be former soldiers still standing guard, forever tied to their duties at the armory. The Old Armory remains a key part of the Williston community, though its ghostly residents ensure that its military past is never forgotten. Our final stop on this haunted tour brings us to the Leonard Mausoleum, a small, forgotten cemetery located near the town of Leonard. This mausoleum has long been the subject of ghost stories and local legends, with many believing that the restless spirits of those buried here still roam the grounds. Visitors to the mausoleum have reported seeing ghostly apparitions, including the spirit of a young girl dressed in a simple white dress, often standing near the entrance. Some say she appears only for a few minutes before disappearing into the mist. Others have experienced unexplained cold spots and the sound of soft crying echoing from inside the mausoleum, though no one is ever found. One of the more terrifying encounters involves the sighting of shadowy figures moving through the trees near the cemetery at night, as though patrolling the grounds. Locals believe that the spirits tied to the mausoleum are trapped there, unable to leave, and that their sorrow and confusion keep them haunting the area. While the Leonard Mausoleum is not frequently visited, those who do make the journey often leave with an unsettling sense that they've encountered something not quite from this world. And there we have it. That wraps up another episode of Haunted America. We took a look at 10 different haunted locations in the state of North Dakota. We checked out some of those eerie old forts. We checked out the old libraries. We even went to a cemetery that nobody really goes to. The Peace Garden State has plenty of ghost stories waiting to be told. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Haunted America. Well, the Halloween podcast, really. So if you can, leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second right now, hit that subscribe button. We truly appreciate it. And don't forget to check out those show notes because there's more information there. There's also the addresses to these places. So if you want to go visit them, feel free to do so if you're allowed, if it's open to the public. And if it's not, please honor any type of rules that they have about going to these places. If you have any questions, comments, or want to suggest anything for a future show, go ahead, send me an email, thehalloweenpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to our website, thehalloweenpodcast.com. Check out our merch store, order some stickers, some postcards, some shirts, anything that you'd like that's Halloween podcast related. I'd truly appreciate it. And let's not forget about that Facebook page, facebook.com/thehalloweenpodcast. We are kind of at the tail end of this thing, guys. We still got probably about 2 weeks or so left of Haunted America. I'm kind of sad, really, because I really enjoyed doing these episodes for you guys. But more episodes of the Halloween podcast, more regular episodes of the Halloween podcast, I should say, are going to be coming out soon. So stay tuned for those. And Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do another one of these guys because honestly, I am so tired of doing a constant show, constant recording, but it's a labor of love. I love doing the show for you guys. So if you can, I know I'm going to say this again, but I'm putting in a lot of effort. So the least you can do is leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And also share this podcast with all of your friends. Put it on all of your social medias. Let people know that I'm doing this countdown and I'm almost towards the end, and I'm going to keep going. I know there's been a few times where I've released the episode late at night, but I made it. Like I made it towards the end of the day, but it went out that day. So, yeah. All right. I'm rambling. I'm going to get out of here.